I, okay. So I think we've got one person missing, but that's fine. I can email it to her. So hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. It's lovely to be here. This is the first time we've done this workshop virtually, so it's very exciting. So I'll try and get my timings all right. There's quite a lot to get through. So yeah, I'll try. And if you have any questions at any point, just ask, but hopefully you've kind of all got a basic understanding of Design Space and what goes on, but yeah, anything that doesn't quite make sense or any other questions relating to what I'm talking about, please just ask. So I'm Kate. If you don't know me already, I've recognized a few names from the Q&A, which is lovely. I know Diane, so that's great. But yeah, so it's all lovely to see you all. I'm going to quickly zip through and just check which machine you all have so that I know kind of, you know, what I'm dealing with. So Diane, do you have a Maker?
I've got a Maker.
Brilliant. Victoria, oh no, yes, Victoria, what do you have? We've got Victoria. No, Victoria's the one we don't have, sorry. Sarah, what do you have?
I've got the Maker 3.
Oh, lovely. Kels, I think you've got a new, have you got Maker 3?
I've got the Maker 3 for Christmas.
Yay.
I'm loving it.
Oh, great.
Enough things to do stuff with.
It's so great, isn't it? There's so much you can do. Maddie, which one have you got? Have you got one of the new ones? Maker 3. Yeah. And then Jenny, have we got Jenny? Yeah, so Jenny, which one do you have?
I've just got the Maker.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we've all got Makers of some description, so that's great. Okay, so most of this I'm going to be just sharing my screen and going through everything on Design Space. So I'll share my screen now. Just trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you now, other than the best, yeah, so the best thing certainly with this workshop is to just watch, take it all in, try and really kind of get your head around what I'm saying. And that will give you the opportunity to ask questions as we go that are most relevant to you. Because if you try and kind of follow me along with your machine at the same time, it's much, much harder to kind of take in everything that I'm saying because you're focusing on that as well as what I'm doing. And like I say, you'll have the recording afterwards sent to you this evening, so you'll be able to watch it back as many times as you like. You'll have that forever. And then, so yeah, so that's kind of the best way that we found to do the workshops. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Here we go. And like I say, there's loads to get through, but first of all, I just want to check. So are you all familiar? Maybe you could, you can write in the chat if you'd like to, but are you all familiar with group and attach and weld? If anybody is not familiar with group and attach and weld, maybe you could say so now.
I'm okay with group and attach. I sometimes have a problem with weld.
Okay, fine. Let me do a really quick kind of overview of what those three commands are. So if I say, write my name in here, and then I'll just add a little shape in here as well, like a heart. So there, we've got two separate kind of layers on the canvas. So I'm going to move those around and decide that I want them to be like that, as cut as a piece of vinyl, say. So if I was to click Make It Now, then you'll see that they I'll just say on mat, you'll see that they move around to make best use of the vinyl, so that they kind of move in relationship to each other. So if we go back onto the canvas, and now I'm going to highlight them both and click group, and now it means that if I move one, then everything is kind of stays in relation to each other in terms of size and proportions and spacing and positioning. And now if I click Make It, still they move in relation to each other, because again, the design space is making best use of the vinyl. So group is purely a canvas tool. So all that group does is it keeps things in relation to the same space and everything in relation to each other on the canvas. If we highlight both of those things and click attach, then now if I click on make it, you'll see that everything stays in the same place in relation to each other in size as it was when I was on the canvas. So attach is what you use to keep things of the same color, the same material, the same layer in relation to each other in terms of size and spacing when you actually want to cut it out. Weld is slightly different because if I now, so another thing to say is with attach, you can detach at any time. So anything that is attached to each other, think of it like a paper clip. So you can remove that paper clip at any time that you want to, and then move things again in relation to each other. So I'm now going to make it so that the heart is over here, and it's actually, in fact, let's change the font as well to something which is joined up. So here we go, this one here. So now you'll notice that the letters are all joined up. I'm going to make it a bit bigger, and I'm going to put my heart so that it's attached to my letter E as well. I'm just going to change the color of everything to yellow so that you can see really clearly. Okay, so even if I attach these things, because I've decided that I want them to stay in relation to each other and size, and that's all good. So if I click attach now, if I was to click make now, I'll do that. You'll see that even on the mat, there are still, you can't see on the mat actually. I'll go back here. So you'll see here that there's, even though it's attached, there's still cut lines in between each letter and the heart. And the way to remove those is to click on weld. So if I click weld, you'll see that those little cut lines disappear. So the difference between attach and weld, so attach is just keeping things in the same space in relation to each other when you cut it, but they're still separate items. But weld is actually kind of merging things that are touching each other into the same piece. So it means that once something is welded, it will cut as one continuous piece of vinyl or whatever it is that you're cutting, rather than having those cut lines in between. So if I press undo, you'll see those cut lines return again, and I'll click on redo. One thing that's really worth knowing is, unlike attach, you can't unweld later on in your project. So if you've got a welded item, this becomes a new single layer that you can't later on down the line, as you've done more kind of fiddling around with your project, you can't unweld it. The only way you can unweld anything is kind of straight away by clicking undo. If you can do it enough times. There we go. So you just need to bear that in mind with your projects. So yeah, that's just a kind of a basic quick overview of group and attach and weld. Occasionally, if this is just kind of a quick troubleshooting thing, you might find that sometimes when you weld something that, say it was a letter A, that the inside of the letter A like blacks out, so it kind of merges as vinyl as well. It might not have happened to you, it doesn't always happen to people, but it is something that can happen sometimes. If you find that happens to you, it's just kind of a glitch. It means that there are two possible reasons for that happening. And they are, first of all, if you, let me group these things. If you've got letters and they're too close together, like say like this, like really, really close together. And if you, I don't think it happens with this font, but just to explain. So if you've got letters and they're really super close together and then you weld them, you might find that the inside of the A and the E, for example, the holes in the middle of those letters disappear. So the first thing to try if that happens is just to respace the letters and make them slightly further away from each other so that they're kind of just touching like that and like that. That should sort the problem out. If it doesn't, my other piece of advice is to zoom in, is to not zoom in, is to make it really as big as you can. So make your project really, really big and then weld it when it's that big. That pretty much always gets rid of that problem. I've never had that problem when I've tried to weld when something's really massive. And obviously then you can just make it down to whatever size you want it again. So there, just a quick little extra tip. Right, so now what I'm going to start through is going through some of the other commands. So there are 3 ways really to make projects on Design Space. The first one is to use just a ready to make project. So the projects that are in here. The second one is to customize a ready-to-make project. And then the third one is to design something from scratch yourself. Oh, sorry, this always happens. I can't see my whole screen when I'm sharing my thing. So design something from scratch yourself. So all of these commands and techniques and everything that we're going to go through today will help you in all of those ways, because it just means you have so much more scope for kind of being more creative and doing more things yourself. So I've just shown you what weld is. So I think if any of you have been on the Design Space introductory workshop, we do go through weld, but it's just with letters. So I just want to show you that's brilliant for making things like decals to go on water bottles or whatever, stuff like that. Any kind of sticker that you want. That's not, I thought it was a joined up font, but it's not. So anything like that that's kind of joined up that you want to go onto like a water bottle or a notebook or whatever it is. But actually weld is really, really useful in loads of other ways. And one of them is to build kind of shapes completely from scratch yourself. So I'm going to do this with free shapes. So if you're not a Cricut Access member, then that will be absolutely fine. And I'm just going to just show you an example of the type of thing that you can do. Okay, so I've got 3 squares in here. I duplicated that square just by clicking it and pressing Control V for paste, but you can also just click on duplicate up here and that will give you another square. Okay, so we've got 3 squares here, just regular squares from the shapes section. I'm also going to add a triangle. I'll make that green. And then I'm going to add a little heart as well. And I'll just go through this really quickly because it's really simple, but it's quite a nice way to think about shapes in a different way. So if you've got an idea for a design in your head and you're not quite sure how to make it, this might be a way that you can make that design. So we're going to make a little house. So I'm going to take the first square, just make it a little bit larger. I'm going to take my second square here and make it a little bit smaller. Oops. Like this, and put that one on top. Now to put things on top or behind, you might not know there's an arrange button up here, so you can send things to the back or bring things to the front. So that's going to be our little door. And then this one is going to be a window. And then this will be, let me group all of these, move them down. This is going to be the roof, in case you didn't realize. Oh no, we need another one. We need a chimney. Bring that one to the front. And then let's put a little heart on the top of the chimney as well. Okay, so, oh, actually, no. Tell you what, first of all, let me remove these 2 because that's different. So for example, here we've now we could have this as one whole shape. So if I'm going to highlight all over all of these because they're all touching each other, and if I click weld, then that makes a really cute little house shape. So can you see that was I mean, this is just a really quick example. You can do any number of shapes and things all by yourself, but just that's a way of showing you that actually weld isn't just for doing kind of joined up letters and things like that. Actually, you can use it in loads of different ways by creating all sorts of different shapes yourself. So it's really, really, really handy just to have that kind of in your head if you're designing something yourself. The next one I wanted to show you is slice. So slice is down here, And first of all, are there any other questions on weld? I think that's probably pretty straightforward because you've already got a basic understanding on it. But did you have any other questions about weld at all, anybody? Or should we crack on with slice? Okay, I'm going to crack on with slice. So slice is down here, and that, if you think of slice as like a cookie cutter, so I'm going to move this to one side actually, because there's something I can show you slightly more simply first of all. So I'm going to put 2 stars onto my canvas, make it a little bit bigger, just going to duplicate. So we've got 2 stars here, and I'm going to make one of them a different size. So there we go. So I'm going to put this star on top of this star. And what I want is just kind of an outline of a star. So what we can see in the black now. But what I want to do first of all is make sure that that blue star is absolutely central to the bigger star, just to make sure that my outline is going to be exactly even all the way around. So to do that, you can highlight, drag your cursor over both of the stars, and this align tool. I use this align command all the time for like just centering things and making sure that they're absolutely in the right place without using any guesswork. So if I click on center, we were nearly there, but not 100% there. So now it means that that blue star is absolutely centered in that gray star. Now, if I highlight them both, one thing to know really importantly is that you can only slice 2 layers at once. So if you try and slice 3 layers or 4 layers, it won't work. So you must only try and slice with 2 layers. In a minute, I'll show you how to slice with more because you have to go through a different process. But the Design Space will only let you slice 2 items. So I've highlighted both of these, and I'm going to click on slice. And now, if you can see, I'll drag them apart from each other, and it's kind of just like a cookie cutter. It's cut where they're overlapping each other in any place, it's kind of cut them out. So now this is what I was after, and it's a really nice way of, I mean, there are loads of applications for this. And again, I use slice all the time, but something that is a really kind of obvious way of using slice is like as a little frame for something. So say you wanted to make a little frame, whether, I don't know, it was like some Elton John sunglasses or whatever it might be out of card, you can do that kind of thing using slice. Another way, of course, is you could add a little window onto, let's move that window to the front. Oh, come on, move forward. There we go. So that window is now on the front. So if I change the size of that window, and again, just drag over both of those 2 and click slice. And now our little house has got a window on it. So that's just another way just of demonstrating how slice works for you. So that's how you slice with 2 objects, but it might be that you have 3 objects or 4 objects that you want to slice together. So let me give you an example of what that might be. Say you wanted to make a photo frame with 3 heart cutouts on it or something like that. So I've got 1 heart here. Let's put that one, I'll change the color just so that you can see. So let's say that one goes in the middle. So again, I'm going to highlight both of these things and align centrally like that. And now let me duplicate that heart 2 more times, 1 here and 1 here. And again, what we could do is select those 3 hearts and make sure that they're aligned vertically. Okay, so now say we wanted to make a frame with 3 heart cutouts on it. Would be a nice thing to do, but we can't slice because that's 4 items. So if I try and highlight over them, drag my cursor over all of them and click slice, the slice option isn't available because we've got too many items. So there's a really simple way to get around that, and that is to weld whatever you've got up here so that they become 1 item. So if I highlight these 3 hearts and click weld, these are now, they're not touching each other, so but they're still merged into 1 single layer that can't be undone. So this is now one item. And so now that we've done that, let's align again, just because, you know, why not? So now this is actually just 2 layers. So if I highlight over these now, I can click slice, and there's our lovely frames. You can just delete these or do whatever you want with them. There's extra ones in there, so you can delete all of those. And now you've got your 3 hearts sliced out of that rectangle. Even though it was more than 1 or more than 2 items in total, we still managed to do it. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions?
Makes brilliant sense. Thank you.
Oh, good. Perfect. Thank you. Right. So let me check.
Okay, if you didn't delete those pieces that have come out,
Yeah.
would it print them?
Yes, it would. So it would cut those. So you can either, there's a couple of things you can do. If you want to save them because you think you might need them at another time, but you don't want to cut them this time, you can just press on the little eye up there on the layers panel, and that means that they're hidden, but they're still there, and then they wouldn't be cut. Otherwise it would cut them. Yeah.
Okay, and I was trying to do a gift tag, so I'd created the shape of the tag. I did a circle to be cut out, and then I did writing that I wanted cut out.
Yeah.
So I could do exactly this. I could kind of group them as one piece, put them on top of the tag, and then go slice.
Nice, exactly right. Yeah, you could do that. With cutting text out of so let me show you quickly. Okay, we're doing good. Say you wanted to cut text out. Dear, whose birthday is it soon? Where are we? January. Rose. Dear Rose. Say it's Rose's birthday. So at the moment, let me change the color again. Say at the moment you were to cut that out, you were to slice it. Obviously, if that was to cut out of card, then the inside, anything inside the letter O, whatever, would just disappear. So there's a way of finding fonts which are just stencil fonts, which means that they'll always, I'll show you. So if you unclick that, if you've got that option of kerned fonts, unclick that, and in that search box up there, just type in the word stencil. Then any of these fonts here are now going to be stencil fonts. So if I change it like that, and then I'll make it white again just so that you can, or a different color so that you can see. So now if I was to slice those 2, you can see that because it was a stencil font, you'll still be able to see, because you know there's no kind of central bits of the letters which are going to completely disappear. So all of those fonts which appear if you type stencil into that search parameter will always be, you know, there's loads of different styles and looks and finishes and everything, but there'll always be that lovely stencil style where you don't lose the inside of the letter O or the letter E or A or whatever. So you might want to do that, unless you're going for the look, because sometimes people quite like it when you miss out the letters. I've got some bits somewhere in here which do that, but anyway, that's a nice font. I might remember that one, use that one. Okay, so that's what have we done so far? Weld and slice. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is offset. So does everybody, so you can only actually use offset if you work off a computer, off a desktop or a laptop or computer. So it's not always relevant to everybody because you can't get it on a smartphone or a tablet, but I'm going to show it to you because it is really handy to know, and you never know, you might one day work off a computer. Oops, so we're going to do it with text. So basically what offset does is it kind of adds a border around an image or some text, which is really handy for a couple of reasons. So if I type my word in, type my name in again, I'm going to change this to a font that I know works really well with offset, and that is not that one, Candice regular.
What
There we
does
go.
the thing you ticked that said kerned or kernel?
So that if you keep that ticked, any fonts which are like cursive fonts, they will automatically come up so that they are the letter spacing is correct, so that they're joined up to each other. If you untick that, you'll need to manually move the letters together. Yeah, I'm not sure that comes up on every device. I can't remember because I only ever work with my desktop. Well, I do sometimes use my smartphone, so you might not always have that. Okay, so let me show you this, because this is a really cool option if you have it, and I can show you how it relates back to Slice, which we just used as well. So I've typed my name in here and used a font that I know works really well. With that word highlighted, if I go up to this offset tool here, you can see there are a few different options, but when I click on offset, there's kind of an outline around the word that appears in that thin blue line. So you can change the size of that blue line as much as you like by dragging it up and down this line. And you can also, I'm not quite sure why you might choose this, but you can also choose to unweld the offset. So you can see if I unweld, it has a separate outline for every single letter. I've never needed that, but you never know, you might do. So if I click on, so I'm going to keep it checked with weld offsets. You can also go to square or curved corners, but I think curved, well, certainly for this one, because we are all curved anyway, looks much nicer. So I'm going to click apply. And then as you can see, it just adds this really cool effect, which is like an outline around the word. You can use this for images as well and shapes as well as words. So it's really handy. But one of the really cool things about this, I think, I'll just change the color because I think it looks nicer. Also, one thing to note is straight away, there'll still be separate layers. So if you move things around, they will not stay in relation to each other. So if you want to keep things exactly as they are in relation to each other, you need to immediately highlight both and click group. And then that means that they'll stay, nice and neat. But one thing which I think is super handy with this command is slice, what we've just talked about. So say you wanted to do an image, or you can do, I'm just showing you one example, but it can literally be so many different things that where you might want this effect around it, any image or any shape or anything. If you wanted to do that in iron-on specifically, and in vinyl, but iron-on really, you're much better off not layering up lots of layers wherever possible. You can layer iron-on and vinyl, but for example, say you were using glitter iron-on or like a special finish of vinyl, you can't layer on top of that. So you can't layer on top of the shimmer vinyl, for example, and you can't layer on top of glitter iron-on. So what you would do then is again highlight both. So again, we've got two layers, so we're good to slice. So I've highlighted them both, and if I click slice again, and now if I delete that one, actually you can cut those as two colors on your iron-on or whatever, and you're not going to be doing any layering because that'll just sit really nice and neatly inside the kind of outline. So not only does that eliminate the need for extra bulk and layering and the risking things not sticking to each other properly, but it also means you don't have to, you take away any kind of guesswork in terms of lining things up when you're adding those layers on top of each other. So you know exactly where this yellow one goes. You can just sit it in perfectly in that gap when you're adding it onto your project, and then you're not going to have things kind of slightly skew with. So that is offset, and a really nice way to again use the slice function. Yeah, and like I said, so you can do, so if I say I don't know puppy or whatever, anything, let's find one that's going to work nicely. Not that one, say this one. Oh, actually, these are all a bit rubbish. I'll just do that one, who cares, you get the idea. So here's a little puppy, on my canvas. So again, you can click offset and apply that. And now there's a little kind of outline for that as well. So it can apply to all sorts of different things, not just text. Okay, so that's offset. And offset again, linking into slice. Do we have any questions? This really is a whistle-stop tour. You're going to learn so much. So I'm sure you're going to want to watch it back afterwards. But any questions on either of those commands? We're good to crack on.
I'm good.
All good? Perfect. Okay. So, contour. Right. This is quite a meaty one. Let me show you. We're halfway through. So, sometimes on images, you might find an image that you really like, but you maybe don't want to have all of that image on there. So for example, let's try cat this time. Okay, this is a good example. So here's a cute little cat that would look really nice, peering up on some vinyl from the bottom of a notebook, say. But actually, I don't want my cat to have whiskers. I just want him to have a nice smiley face without any whiskers on it. So the quickest way to remove any single element from this image, or any image that you choose from images, is to click on that image and then go down to contour. We're back to any device. So you can do this on any device, by the way. So if I click on contour, and you'll see a new window pop up, and it's got kind of a separate layer for each of the different elements in that image. So if I click on the two whiskers and then go on the cross, you can see now that it's exactly the same image, but the whiskers have disappeared. So I'm much happier with it like that. If I ever at any point decided that I want to bring the whiskers back in again, and I preferred it that way, you can just click back in contour, and you can either find them down here on the layers panel on the right, or you can just click on the image if that's easier, and then they'll reappear. So that's really handy. If this is a really simple one, I'll do a much trickier one in a moment, but that's really handy for just kind of manipulating images that you might find on Design Space, of which there are hundreds and thousands of images. So let me do one that's a little bit more complicated. I found one earlier. I think it was called Pirate in Training, because I wanted to show you one with, yeah, it was this one. Okay, so I wanted to show you this one for two reasons. Firstly, because there's a slight glitch on it, and there are, just the nature of designs. If you imagine on Design Space, there are hundreds of thousands of images and projects and fonts and all sorts of things. And every now and then you'll find one which has been uploaded slightly incorrectly, and you'll think it's you, but it's not you. So I'm quite pleased I found one where there was a glitch, because I can show you how to overcome it if that does happen to you. So what I want to do here, say, is remove in training from in that banner, and say I wanted to replace it with, I don't know, Pirate Oliver or something like that, or Pirate Poppy, or a name of a child to put on something.
I'm on a call, go away.
So what we can do is,
Gents, I'm on a call.
There we go. So what we're going to do is highlight that again and go on to contour. And this time, what we want to do is, so we could go down here on the right hand side, but actually I know, because I've messed around with this image, is that not, so you'll try, I'm looking for that in training, and I can't see in training down here. So when this image has been uploaded, whoever's done it hasn't changed these letters down the right hand side, so I can't see them down here. So I can't do, so that's nothing I've done wrong. You wouldn't have done anything wrong. There's just a glitch with this image. So the only way that we can remove in training is by zoom. Well, what we'll do is zoom in. So we go press on that little magnifying glass, whoop, like that there, and it has to kind of take a moment to resize, but that's fine, all good. And then click on each individual letter here to remove the in training. I'm going to go two more times. And you can see when you highlight over something, it changes very slightly. So once I'm hovering over that G, the G outline of the G goes slightly bolder than everything else. So I can click on the G, And you can see as I clicked on it, it disappeared down here. Same with the, whoop, there's the N, I, N, I. I'll come back to the A. You have to do the center and the outside of the R. There we go. This is the glitch I was referring to earlier. There we go. I'll come back to that. The T, N, and I. So there's the, okay, so I couldn't get rid, as much as I tried earlier, I couldn't get rid of that A. I tried absolutely everything. I'd hovered my cursor over everywhere. So that's obviously not been installed correctly. Other than that, if I click on the cross, we've removed all of those other words. So we've learned a technique earlier, so I'm just going to show you if this ever happens to you, there is another way of doing that. It's not as straightforward. That contour is a lovely, quick way of removing any element from an image, but I don't want that A there. I want to replace that with a different name. So what I'm going to do is just put a quick rectangle over here, and I'm just going to change the size of it so that I know that it's going to cover over the A. So I've covered over the A, and now, so I've just got two elements here. So you probably have a second guessed me because we've just covered it, but I'm going to highlight over both of these and click slice again. And if I do that and now move that across, it's cookie cuttered and sliced that A out. So it means that that's gone, and that's what we're trying to achieve. So that shouldn't happen. You should be able to do it with contour, but actually it's quite nice for me to be able to show you if that does happen to you, because it does happen occasionally. You're not going mad, you're not doing anything wrong. And that's a kind of a quick workaround for you to be able to overcome it. I mean, what I could do now, I could go into contour, say if I wanted to remove the banner, or I could use the other method and just get a rectangle, because actually that would cover over the whole banner and I could quickly slice and remove that. So that's a couple of ways of doing that. So that is the contour option. So again, you can either click down each individual item on layer on the right hand side in that layers panel, or you can just click on the actual image. If you do click on the image, you might have to press that plus or minus to zoom in. If you do that, just remember, hold on just a second, because the images all just kind of have to reset when you zoom in. But that is contour. And like I said, if you wanted, the good thing about the contour, which you don't have with the slice, is all of the elements are still there for later on if you decide that you want to bring them back in again. Whereas because I've sliced off that A, I wouldn't be able to get that back again. What I'd have to do is just find this image again on images and re-import it. So, you know, not the end of the world. Okay, so that is contour. Let me just double check. Oh yeah, so the next thing I wanted to do, so again, this is only available on the computer, like desktop version, but it's really handy just for you to know how to do it. So I'm going to quickly show you, say we wanted to put, I just know a little boy called Oliver who really likes pirates, so that's why Oliver's in my head. So say we wanted to put Oliver in here, I'm going to type the word Oliver. Now, that's not a very piratey text, first of all, and it's also in a straight line. So let me first of all change it to a pirate text. I think there is actually a pirate one. Oh, there might not be. You know what? There's a tattoo one, I think. Yeah, let's do it like that. Okay, that looks a little bit piratey, kind of. Okay, so it says Oliver, but actually I don't want it just in a straight line. I want it to the name to follow the curve of the banner. And we can do that really, really simply in Design Space using this curve option here. Like I said, you won't see it on at the moment. That's not to say that it's not forever. They're always making updates on all of the versions of Design Space. So it might be that curve is implemented into smartphone and tablet versions at any point, but today it's not. So, but if I click on that word and type so highlight the word and click on curve, and then you'll see if I just move up or down that line, it changes the curve of the wording, which I think is so cool. I absolutely love it. It's such a great feature. So I've slightly curved the name. There we go. Isn't that great? So it's really nice for putting things into banners like that. Say you had like a sunshine, or say you were making like some circular kind of stickers or some wall art. It means that you can kind of curve wording around, and it can go up or down. So say you wanted it to go in a smile instead, you can do that. So yeah, that's really, I think I use it all the time. Super handy. Yeah, so there we go. He's going to love that. I'm going to have to save it. Okay, so that's contour and curve. How are we doing for time? We're doing great. Okay. Oh, this is perfect. So I've only really got upload to show you. Have you got any questions on contour or curve at all? Anybody?
No, I'm good.
Perfecto. So the last thing I want to talk about is uploading images, and then we'll probably have 10 minutes at the end for you to ask any other questions that you want as well. So that would be nice. Any specific things that you want to do. So obviously there are like just so many images on Design Space. So 273 nearly 1,000 images, and then there's all the projects and the text and the fonts as well. But quite often you will want to upload your own images. So you can do that. You can upload any image you like for free. There was some talk a little while ago of them charging for a certain number of uploads. They've taken that away again for now. I don't think they'll bring it back in again, because there's a bit of uproar, because a lot of people just want to upload things of their own all the time. So you can upload your own images. So you just need to save them onto your system, onto your computer, or whatever it is that you're using. There's loads of different file types you can save as. So JPEG, GIF, a PNG file, bitmap, SVG, or DXF. This is 2 different types of file types here. So the first 4, JPEG, GIF, PNG, and bitmap, they're all kind of what's known as basic file types. So you need to do a little bit more manipulation if you're uploading one of those. Or if you've got an SVG or a DXF file, they are kind of like vector images. So they will already be split into separate layers. So they're kind of easier. Generally speaking, you'll find probably that you have like JPEGs or PNGs or something. So you'll go through the process that I'm about to show you to upload an image into Design Space. So it's really straightforward. It walks you through it. So you just click on upload, and then you can either drag it and drop it from your system, or you can just click browse and find it. So I know what I'll do first. I'll do my like little icon logo. So I've got that here. This is a PNG file, so I know that that's going to work. If it was a PDF, it wouldn't work. If it was that HEIF, that wouldn't work, but we know that a PNG is okay. So I'll just click open, and then there it appears on my screen. So here it's asking for what type of image I'm working with. Well, this is a really, really simple image, just with 2 colors, high contrast. So I'm going to click on simple. I would say to you, if in doubt, click on moderately complex, because that tends to work fine. Unless you know that you've got something with really super fine lines or whatever, then you can click on complex. But I'm going to click on simple today, and then click on continue. And now, because it was a PNG file, we need to do a bit of manipulation. So at the moment, if I was to click apply and continue, this would just be a black square, because the Design Space can't decipher. This is just kind of shapes and lines and images. It's not separate layers. So we need to tell Design Space where the separate layers are on this image. So there is a background remover, which you can do. I'll do a little preview. You just click on that. I don't have, I've got a funny version of Design Space. So I just have access to all the things, even though I don't have access. So I can't actually do that properly on mine, but it would look like that. So that means that it's removed, well, not without, you wouldn't have the Cricut logo, but what that's done is automatically removed all of the background, but you can do it manually. So again, you don't need to subscribe to Access to have the use of all of these things. So the first thing we want to do is tell Design Space what is image and what is not image. So we want to use this remove, so select here, command here. So I've got that selected, that little magic wand, and I'm going to click on anything that I don't want it to cut out. So say I want to cut this out of vinyl and put it on my computer case or something, my laptop case. I don't want it to cut out any of that background. And then if I zoom in a little bit, I also don't want it to cut out the inside of the letters here. And you can go really super fine. So I'm going to zoom in a bit more and do, oops, the bits of the little registered trademark as well. Okay, you can preview your cut image at any time. Oh, sorry, I'm moving other things around that you can't see on my screen. Like that, that's all good. I'm going to hide the cut image. And then, so that was just showing us exactly, and if I go back down again and show it smaller. So if I preview the cut image, then it shows you what the cut image would be. So that's a really good way if it's quite fiddly and you hadn't, say, clicked the inside of a letter A on that preview, it would be really immediately obvious to you that you'd missed something out. So you can go back and then click in that whatever you'd missed out. But that's good. We're all happy with that. Say that I didn't want it to say Makery Kate underneath and I just wanted to have this logo. That's when you'd click the erase button. And you can change the size of the eraser at any point. So at the moment it's really small, but you can make it much larger like this. And you can remove anything that you don't want to have on your image like that, or not, if the case may be. But that's what erase is for. So it's kind of remove, like kind of that select, I don't know what to call it really, like, yeah, remove and erase. So once you're happy, you click on apply and continue. And there are two options here. So you, unless we're not, with print and cut is another whole ball game. So we won't talk about that today. But we want to make it as a cut image. So say out of card or vinyl or iron-on or something like that. So you need to click on cut image. And then it's really important to name your image as well, because if you're anything like me, you'll end up with loads of uploaded images in your own Design Space, and you can search for them and find them really easily if you make sure that you label them properly. You can type in tag words as well, but I don't tend to do that. So if I then click on upload, then this is now in my uploads. So if I click on that and click add to canvas, oh, it's humongous. Whoops. There we go. So just make it a bit smaller. So then that's my little logo icon, which I've just uploaded and put onto my canvas. Now there's, you might have a logo or an image or something which is more than one color. If that's the case, you need to create kind of a separate image for each color. Or of course, what you could do is what we did before. I'm going to do this, what the heck. So you could do this. You could, if it was a really simple, kind of straightforward shape, nothing too fiddly in terms of, you know, shapes kind of overlapping each other, you could just do a quick slice like we did before. So I've now sliced those, and now these are two separate layers now. So say I wanted part of that to be a different color. Well, I could do that now because I've sliced them into two separate layers. But you can do that on, hopefully, did that make sense? I think we did, because we've done this a few times, yeah. So what you can do is do that on the upload. So if I go back here, and I've been working with a lovely company which makes slippers. Where are they? There's Sheepa's logo. Okay, so their logo is two colors. So we've got the blue sheep and the gray writing. I'm going to click on moderately complex this time because it's a little bit more complicated than before, and click on continue. This isn't a high res image, so you can see it's slightly pixelated, but you'll get the idea. Let's pretend it's not. Let's pretend it's nice and smooth like my one was. It wasn't for this purpose. But say this time I want to have the sheep in one color and sheep as in another color. It might be that it's more complicated than this. Obviously, we could use that slice command with this, but let's work on the basis that we're not going to. So let's select and remove those backgrounds first of all. And then for this layer, which is going to be the grey layer, I'm just going to remove the sheep and then click apply. So now we've got Sheepa's logo grey layer. And I've saved it as a cut image and upload. So that's there. And then we're going to do it again. And I'm going to upload exactly the same image. And this time, click on moderately complex again. It would be fine if it was simple, I think, because it is simple, but just to show you, doesn't particularly matter. And this time, we're just going to have the blue layer. So again, I'm going to remove the backgrounds, but this time we'll be careful to remove the backgrounds just from the sheep, and we can erase the bit that we don't need down here. And then this is going to be called Sheepa's logo blue layer. Cut image and upload. So now we've got the two elements of that logo, but because you can only do this as one layer, each of them, so they would only actually be one color. So say we wanted to do that logo as a whole. I've just uploaded both bits here. Again, let's make that blue just so that it looks like we want it to look like. I can align it because we know how to do a line. So this time I'm just going to center vertically, and there we go. So you could group them again, and that's how you get multiple colors. So I've sometimes done really like complicated things that have taken ages, deciphering each different layer for an image that I've uploaded. So it's better to have images which are simple, kind of like vector outline images, but you can do more complicated. I'll show you. So here you can see, I think one of my friends, oh bless, his little boy wanted a Christmas pigeon. Sounds so weird. He loves pigeons. So I made him, oh gosh, sorry, I'm faffing around because I've got loads of bits in here. But so for example, there's the pigeon's eye, which was the black layer. There's the beak and the feet, which was a different color layer. So I've got a different one for each bit of the pigeon. So you can kind of do it much more complicated if you wanted to, but it's easier with simple vector layers. Okay, have you got any? That's kind of the most complicated bit of all of the different things that we've done, and I get asked questions about uploading images all the time. So do any of you have any questions about uploading your own images that you'd like to ask me now?
Not an image, but fonts. You know,
Okay, yeah. So you can upload fonts. So let me see. The best website that I use is tax return email. That's not very nice. Won't look at that one. It's called DaFont. So if you go to DaFont, I love this. I think it's a brilliant. Can you still see my screen, everybody? Oh no, you can't. Can you?
Your Makery Kate on the screen, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not the website.
So stop share. Let me share again. Okay, so this is cancel. Screen share, this one. Share. Okay, so it's just called dafont.com. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's so many fonts on here. They're amazing. So you can search through, like, there's loads of different kind of like search parameters. You can just, it's brilliant. There's so many different ones on here. So say you wanted a font, as long as you were just using it for personal use. Some of them, they have a fee applied to them if you want to use it for commercial use, but if you're just making like a t-shirt for yourself or for a friend, it's fine if you're not selling stuff. So say I wanted this honey florist here, you'd literally just click on download. And then it would download that font onto my system. So it's downloading it onto my computer. And then once it's downloaded, I need to make sure I'm sharing the right screens with you all the time. Hang on a minute. So share screen. I think this will be right. Hang on. Okay. Can you just see like Zoom in the middle and stuff? Can you? If I
see your screen.
If I click on this, can you see my like?
Oh yeah, I can see
yeah.
that.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to look. So if I should be in downloads. Okay, so here's Honey Florist on download. So this is the font here, which has been downloaded onto my system. You then need to put, so it's a little bit convoluted, and I've never tried doing this admittedly on like anything other than my computer. Not entirely sure how I would do it on a smartphone, but anyway, so I want to click on that drop down, and that OTF or TTF file is the actual font file. So what you want to do, I normally just drag that. So I've got some others here that I used recently. I normally just drag that onto my desktop, and then in your there's probably a quicker way of doing it, but this way works. You want to find your fonts.
If you just double click on it, now there's an install font on it. So if you open up the Florist, it should just say install.
Oh yes, there's install font. Perfect. So if you install it, oh, thank you. Perfect. Oh, I didn't think of it. So it's installed font. So that should now be on my system. You sometimes then need to close down Design Space, sometimes even your whole system, and start it back up again, but literally, you know, just kind of a restart. And then that should then be visible in Design Space. Let me just show you something else. So if I share screen again now in my Design Space. So if I type in some words, oh, I do like that font, that tattoo on. So now if I click on the choice of different fonts, if you just want to search the fonts that you've uploaded, if you click on system here, that system option will just bring up all the fonts which are on your system that you've uploaded yourself. So because there are so many different fonts in the Cricut menu, sometimes it's quite, if you can't remember the name of it or whatever, it's quite hard to find things. There's not usually so many if you're just searching on system, so you'll be able to just search through all the system ones yourself. Also, if you've not got Cricut Access and you just want to search free fonts, anything in system is always going to be completely free. So oh look, there's some such great fonts that you can download. This was a good one I did. But yeah, so that's how you upload a font. Kels, you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, so very occasionally I get little squares on instead of letters on something. Is that when it's too big, or what usually happens?
No, when you're searching here, do you mean?
No, when I've actually, so I've clicked on,
I
I saw you had it on one of the fonts in the search. I haven't seen that before, but it's usually when I start writing something, and sometimes it's just one letter.
Yeah, so that will mean it doesn't happen very often. So it quite often happens if you've got a number or like an exclamation mark or something, and it means that that particular font doesn't have a number or a pound sign. It will have like annoyingly a dollar sign, but not a pound sign or whatever within that font package. So what I'll either try and find a similar font that just kind of looks okay with it as that number or that or, you know, exclamation mark or whatever, or just find a different font. But that's what that means. Okay. Oh guys, it's slap bang on time. Not being funny, but that was excellent timing. Are there any other questions whilst I'm here? Because I'm very
Can I
happy.
ask one more?
Yeah, with pleasure.
So I was doing a little t-shirt, my first iron on, and I found a font that I really liked everything apart from the little dot on the eye. And so I created a circle, but the circle couldn't get to the right size to actually cover the thing. Is there a way of kind of almost rubbing out like one letter to replace? Because I was able to separate the letters, but I would have to replace the entire I. I couldn't work out how to just replace the dot.
I would just use slice. So I'd get a shape and put it over the dot and then slice it, and then you can just remove it completely. And then you can put whatever you want in place. I use slice all the time. And the more you get to use it, you'll think of other ways that it's useful. It's really handy, because at the beginning I was like, well, I'm never going to use that, but actually you do. The more you become familiar with just the way that Design Space works, you'll start to use that command really regularly. It's really useful.
Thank you.
Right, any more for any more? No. Oh, we've covered so much. Right, so like I say, you'll get a recording. You'll also get, I'm terrible at this bit because I don't do these very regularly. You'll also, I know, you'll get a feedback questionnaire. That would be lovely if you fill that in. Literally takes like 2 minutes. And we're very grateful for any feedback, good or bad, that's the best way to improve. So thank you. If you wouldn't mind taking the time to do that, we would love that. There's also on the email a discount code, which is my affiliate link. So there are always some kind of sale on Cricut.com. At the moment, I think there's some really ridiculous sales still on some of the vinyls and the iron-ons, like literally just like £2.30 instead of £7.99 or whatever. So and if you click on that link and click on the link and also use the code MakeryKate, you get an extra 10% off on top of any other discounts and free delivery over a certain amount. I think that's all the stuff on the email. And then you'll also get the video of this. That'll take a little bit longer to process. So I'll make sure that you get the video of this session, but that'll be in a separate email, but I'll still make sure you get it this evening. Yeah, I think that's it. If you have any other questions, you can always ask me. So the best way, I've spoken to Maddie, is it, quite a lot on Instagram, so I'm always really available on Instagram. If you want like a quick answer, if you're trying to do something, you're like, oh god, I don't know what to do, what have I done, just message me on Instagram. I'm at MakeryKate or the MakeryKate. I think it's the MakeryKate. That's a really good way to get me really quickly. Otherwise you can always email me as well, and I'll always try and help you as best I can. But yeah, good luck, have fun everybody. I hope that's really helped you, and I'd love to see what you make. So if you do make anything or kind of do things a little bit more advanced after this session or whatever, please send me pictures, tag me online. I love to see it, especially because these virtual sessions you don't actually see people face to face. It's really nice to see some kind of fruits of your efforts afterwards. So yeah, please always feel free to tag me. I'd love that. But yeah, that's all. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me. It was lovely to spend an hour with you all.
Thank you,
Thank
Kate.
you very much.
No problem. Take care. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.